Labor rights in China. Policy. The U.S. government should work to protect rights in China by stopping trade in order to urge the country to improve labor rights if they wish to continue trade with the United States, as we will not take part in trade with a country who doesn't protect and value employers. The reason for this policy being established is the past decade, Chinese factory workers have been protesting and have been pushing back, demanding better wages, hours, and working conditions. Action by Chinese workers include strikes have been successful, but many go unnoticed. Low wage rates and labor laws that disallow independent trade unions and limit the right to strike. Chinese workers are being abused by the fact they don't have equal rights as a worker in the USA. Meaning our Congress needs to realize that this partnership is presenting more problems than solutions. Involvement of U.S. The U.S. should become involved in the injustice because we are a very powerful country that should be setting an example of a fair economy that does not strive for the fairness of another country for own personal gain. Reasons other than the fight for fairness would consist of the economic liberalization of China has not been accompanied with even the slightest move towards democracy. The government of China is the same as the one that used tanks to kill and maim its youth in Tiananmen Square in 1989. Democracy may eventually come as the new adult Chinese begin to demand more say in their country's direction. But until that happens, there are lots of other democracies around the world that can benefit from America's consumer dollars. Economic effects. Economically, America is dependent on China for most products. Most of the things we use every day are from China. If we stopped importing, then thousands of Chinese people would be out of jobs, and the U.S. would have to make everything. We get products cheap from China, so America would face a rude awakening of overpricing on cost to make and greed allowing profit. But if the toll of economic failure begins, America has a choice to trade more with India, as they show same population and need for job utilities, with the addition of labor rights that China failed to provide. China has 1.4 billion population as against 300 million Americans, so the U.S. should focus on India's 1.3 billion population as they have a free economy and democracy. Social effects. Socially, the effects of trading with China would mean Americans would have to live on only necessities for 1 to 3 years until we could either relocate factories in other countries or start work in America. A positive would ensure safety to the public of anti-freezing toothpaste, poisonous pet food, lead-based paint on toys, and aqueducts. China's free-for-all simply doesn't provide the standards of labor environment and safety we take for granted. We are supporting a country that oppresses religious beliefs, mainly Christianity, and military that threatens its neighbors. A pro-stopping trade will keep the U.S. safe. Political effects. Stopping trade with China to encourage improvement in labor rights would politically cause potential tension between our two countries. China's manufacturing sector has a large footprint in the U.S. economy. It employed 12.0 million workers in 2013. Therefore, by stopping trade, China's government will have a high number of unemployed citizens that will be blamed on faults of their government. The only way to continue trade would be to acknowledge rights of labor workers, even if it causes prices to slightly rise. Also, if we talk about the people who make things we use every day, they only get $1 a day for $6 shoes, and another man who jumps off a rooftop to get attention for overworking hours and low wages, we realize are blind and monstrous acts. It's a fact that a worker in an assembly line can't even buy the product being produced, for example, the iPhone. It's a cause of globalization that we support Chinese acts in labor. We take for granted that Chinese factories are oppressive and in our economy's need for cheap goods that make it so. We only focus on our new technologies while the workers themselves work in invisibility and injustice. But these men and women chose to work as is the only income and way to provide. Our nation cannot be selfish and take responsibility for the entire mess of globalization. But China provides for many countries, but we can stand by the idea of fairness and equality and know we only trade with governments who value their citizens.